Hi, welcome to the second episode of the BarberShop with Shantanu Season 2 Razor's Edge. Last week we made a 50 lakh investment in Wanderlooms, an amazing motorcycling accessories company. This week we have a founder who's made desserts healthy. He comes from a family of ice cream makers who have made ice creams for the last 50 plus years and has also spent a few years at Procter & Gamble sharpening his marketing chops. So I really hope you enjoy the entire episode today. Also, if you can tell us what is the pre-money valuation that the founder has put on his business and put it in the comments below, we will choose one lucky winner to get an amazing Bombay shaving company and Bombay hamper. All right, hope you enjoy. Welcome Kiran to the BarberShop Razor's Edge. Thrilled to have you, and before we dive into understanding Go Zero completely and seeing the beautiful company that you are creating, just wanted to give you some context of the BarberShop Season 2. So Season 1 was about entrepreneurial conversations as we have discussed before. Season 2 is about taking entrepreneurial conversations and leveling them up a little bit, right? With higher stakes. I think the fundamental belief that we have is that over the next 20 years, India needs to create 1 million jobs a month, and we are at 200,000. So we have a deficit of almost 800,000 a month, and people like you who are creating companies is what we need the country to start doing more, not necessarily creating companies but being entrepreneurial in their own way. From a construct standpoint, we now have higher stakes quite literally. We don't want to call it investing, we want to call it equity seeking. This is not a pitch, it's a company showcase where we genuinely are very eager to see. It is not a negotiation, it is a value discovery. So we really want to change the way narratives are built, and Mandar and Meghna are here with us to represent 50 equity seekers who have joined hands to say, okay fine, can we find the best entrepreneurs in the country for the next 20 years and be part of their rocket ships. So thank you once again for taking the time and coming on to the BarberShop. It's a privilege to have you. You of course know me, we are batchmates from many years ago, but I will let Mandar and Meghna introduce themselves and then the stage is all yours.
I'm Meghna Narayan. I'm the co-founder of Wholesome Foods. So like you, I run a food company. We're a health food company. Our first brand was Slurrp Farm, which we started about 6 years ago. And we make healthy food for children. That's also super yummy because we know that sort of taste wins every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And before that, I was at McKinsey with these two. And even before that, my first career was as a swimmer. I swam competitively for the country for many years. And yeah, I'm very excited to hear what you have to say today.
Super. Hi Kiran, my name is Mandar Vaidya. I currently work for Oyo. I'm the CEO of our vacation homes business in Europe. Been there for about 4 years. Before that, and again, what puts me in connection with Meghna and Shantanu is I also worked at McKinsey for a long time, 15 years. In between, I had a couple of years of doing a bit of this and that. I coached some promoters. I taught at Ashoka University, which was great fun. And in a very distant past, I'm also a qualified medical doctor, though I didn't practice much before I did my MBA. Very excited to be here. I live now with my lovely wife Anita. We have a 4-year-old Rishi. My parents live with us as well, and we have a currently slightly stressed due to the pollution life, but a great life at Gurgaon. And as the only non-founder, non-entrepreneur here, I feel in a distinct but inspired minority. So really excited to learn more about Go Zero and about you. Welcome.
I think thanks Shantanu for having me here. As you said, we've known each other for 13 years now, right? 2009 is when we first met, and we actually shared the same section at IIM Lucknow, and we were actually sitting on the same desk, right? And I think we are meeting for the first time after that.
Yes.
Right? We have had interactions several times over WhatsApp, over call, over LinkedIn, but this is actually the first time we are meeting, and what a journey it has been, right? For you, for me as well.
Fun fact about Kiran, by the way, his roll number was 25093 if I remember right.
Yes.
And I was 25094. and he was very regular with going to classes, which was great for me. So taking notes from him, and then on the odd occasion telling him that hey, it's 8:55, I've just got on. There's no way I'm making it time for attendance. So if you can do 2 yes sirs, it'll be helpful for me. So Kiran was more than a friend on multiple occasions.
You know, and that also helped me do voice modulation, because I had to say yes sirs in two different tones, so that the professors would not make out that the same guy saying yes.
So why did you have roll numbers starting with 25,000? How many students go to IIM Lucknow?
This is no,
semantics
this
was
is like
25
firm number.
I figured. No, firm number is actually,
It's actually
a numeric. It's actually a serial number.
So I was
of
I know
everyone
that.
who's worked.
I know.
I presume that's not the
No,
case.
2501 is PGB 25 batch, then 091, 001 to 385 or whatever it was.
Ah, okay.
So
That's
the
a
next
big
year was 26 whatever.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I am a Gujju, right, and actually a Kachhi. So entrepreneurship like runs in my blood, right? So if you would ask me, I would say that every second guy should be an entrepreneur, right? But I think I completely get the vision with which we have started, the BarberShop, is that this decade and the next couple of decades is definitely our moment, and we need to make the most of it. And I think this is something which I have always been very passionate about. In fact, you would remember when I was at IIM Lucknow, I actually ran a small tea shop there. It was called Just Tea.
Oh, nice.
So for people like you, who were doing our night outs with your manfest and all other things, you all needed something to keep yourselves running. So a guy like me would come around with the tea kettle and सबको चाय पिला के वहाँ पे थोड़ा सा पैसा भी बना दिया, कॉलेज के फीस भी निकाल लिए थोड़े से. So I spent 3 years in Singapore and was part of the global marketing team at skincare. So worked on like iconic brands like Olay. Later on got a chance to work at Vicks. So from skincare it was healthcare. So 2014 is when I came back to India, and so Apsara Ice Creams has been my family business, right? It was started in 1971 by my grandfather and my uncle, and we had this one parlor in Walkeshwar in South Mumbai, where they used to make ice creams at morning 5 a.m. Fresh batches right in front of the store, and then sell it throughout the day. And so it was not like a very big setup, very, very small kind of a setup, and ice creams were made batch to batch, so consumers would find it fresh, and the early morning walkers nearby would stand by and observe the whole process of how the milk is being boiled and converted into ice cream. So a lot of old timers remember that. So that was when I started evaluating that how are we going to grow this ahead. Just look at natural ice creams. They are doing a fantastic job of expanding through the franchise model, and in a way we are pretty much similar. The kind of ice creams we made at Apsara, made with real fruits, no artificial flavors, no preservatives, a very limited shelf life, completely natural. So this is when we decided, okay, let's give it a try.
This was the first aha moment for me. India has seen many first generation entrepreneurs in food and restaurants actually set up one shop, and the second generation becomes a lot more ambitious and wants to scale it a lot more. We've seen examples like Haldiram, Bikaji, Bikaner Wala, Bittu Tikki Wala, Chitare Bandhu from Pune become big. So Kiran wants to do that, but it's a non-trivial problem because tastes differ very quickly. Cold supply chain is a problem. So it's a non-trivial problem to solve, but let's see how he does it.
So we cut down the food, focused on ice creams, but then the question was that we have been in town, we have been in Walkeshwar for almost 40 years till that time, right? Now if you want to take this brand out of first Walkeshwar and then let's say out of Bombay to other parts of India, there has to be a process, there has to be a model, right? We need to understand what the consumer wants, because everybody in this area loves the product, right? But what if I go to a location, let's say like an Andheri or a Powai? What will the customers react there? What pricing should we be at? Like if you are sitting in one location, you can price whatever you want, and because you have a set clientele, everybody will buy it at that price, right? But if you want to go, let's say national, you will have to see the market, see what competitors are doing, what pricing. So I spent the first 3 to 4 months learning about ice cream making, right? So I'm a typical engineer who has nothing to do with engineering for the rest of his life. But I came to know that ice cream making is actually a very scientific process, right? You have to understand the components, you have to understand the ingredients, and especially if you are making a product which doesn't have a lot of shelf life, right? So you have to understand how are you going to keep the product good for a very short period of time while maintaining the same consistency across supply chain, various stages of distribution. So I spent the first 3 to 4 months learning about that. Simultaneously, I also started doing a bit of market research in terms of where should the next location for Apsara be, right? So we've always been in Walkeshwar, which is like a very prime location in Bombay. Very affluent people don't mind spending if you give them the right product quality. But let's say, what if I go to the suburbs? What if I go to some other location? So I did a bit of research and came up with 2-3 locations which were ideal from a footfall standpoint, right? Because we were into the parlor business, so we wanted a location where you would have the crowd coming in, hanging out, and buying scoops. So we identified Powai in Hiranandani Gardens, and we identified King Circle at Matunga and the Lokhandwala market in Andheri. And the very first reaction which I got from my dad was a no. Are you crazy? Like, we have our own shop, we have not paid a rupee of rent to anybody, and now you are telling me that I want to set up a store in Powai, I want to set up a store in King Circle, and I want to set up a store in Lokhandwala, and for these 3 stores together you want to pay a monthly rent of 10 lakhs. Like, do you even know what, how many scoops of ice cream you will have to sell at that time, which was priced at around 50 rupees scoops to even break even, right? So that was the first management lesson probably at that time I learned, that convincing your boss at PNG is difficult, but convincing your family is even more difficult, especially when there is a typical way of doing business for 4 decades.
Correct.
Once I have convinced them that I want to open more outlets in these strategic locations, irrespective of what the rent is, the next question came, अच्छा वहाँ पे बैठेगा कौन? अच्छा देखिए, मैं तो यहाँ पे बैठा हूँ वालकेश्वर स्टोर में, मैं तो सालों से यहीं, तो आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू गो टू पवई ऊपर. सो वी स्टे इन द सेम बिल्डिंग ऑन द फर्स्ट फ्लोर, राइट? सो ही गोज होम, हैज फूड, तो मैं तो यहीं बैठने वाला, राइट? तो पवई कौन जाएगा? तो एक काम कर, तू पवई चले जा, एंड आई हैव अ यंगर ब्रदर हु इज ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ द बिजनेस, उसको बोलते हैं वो किंग सर्कल जाएगा.
Correct.
ओके, ठीक है, इज गुड. सो यू विल हैव 3 outlets and you can start there. But I said, even before that, I asked my dad, okay, then who will take care of the 4th outlet?
Correct.
Because we are not going to stop at 3 outlets. The plan is to have 100 outlets over a period of time, starting with these 2-3 locations. You want me to go to Powai, you want brother to sit at King Circle. That is the other challenge. Then we said we have to go to a model where you are going to have stores which are run by professional managers, staff, and then you put up a process in place where you will have all the inventory checkpoints, cash checkpoints, supply management, etc., etc. So we started, and we opened the stores with much fanfare, and did a lot of whatever those flyers and activities. And the first 3 months were like absolutely dud. तो कोई धंधा ही नहीं आ रहा है, राइट? रेंट है 10 लाख का और कंबाइंड सेल है 9.5 लाख का, right? And so we are not even able to forget cost of goods and forget salaries. We are not even able to cover the rent part of it, right? So after like first month gone by, second month gone by, third month now my father is starting to get a little bit कि ये कब तक चलेगा? Like you don't have a lot of ways to market your product. You don't have a lot of ways because Facebook marketing, Instagram marketing back then was not very popular. Yeah. We did not have Swiggy, Zomato, so that for sales you only had the footfall, and you had probably your own self-delivery wala who would take orders. So you had to find innovative ways to make your brand aware in that locality. So I got Zomato was just started at that time, right? So it was just dining and restaurant discovery. There was no delivery model, right? So food bloggers and Zomato reviewers at that time were very popular. So I just went on to Zomato, did a quick search of who are the top rated influencers and Zomato reviewers at that time, held a tasting session at one of the stores. They just loved the product, right? तो अभी तक हम लोग सिर्फ नेचुरल आइसक्रीम्स ही खा रहे हैं, हमको नेचुरल्स छोड़ के कुछ और आइसक्रीम ब्रांड पसंद नहीं है, पता भी नहीं है, एंड योर प्रोडक्ट इज सो ग्रेट, like you should definitely open up more stores, and that moment with those 5 people or the 6 people was a really morale booster for me. That was the product में दम है. No matter अभी धंधा नहीं आ रहा है, but product में belief है. We have cracked the product. We have had a good pricing. It's a matter of getting now the word out in the market that there is a brand which is there. So started doing all these little bits of marketing and spreading awareness. And the 5th month, which was December, right? We broke even at all 3 locations.
In winter, huh?
In winter.
Wow.
In winter, right? And that month, we also became the highest rated outlet in Zomato in Powai with a rating of 4.9.
Wow.
That is when things changed or things turned for good for Apsara ice creams, and for me particularly, because I think I stood vindicated in front of my family at that point of time कि boss अब 50 रुपए के कप में से आप you can remove overheads, rents, pay salaries and still have something in it for you, right? And I said, okay, we have understood the model. I have understood the unit economics of how it works. I have a fair understanding of what location and what high street you will need to be in. By the time I'd also, explored other parts of Bombay and, Navi Mumbai, Thane.
This was a moment where, for me, was about product market fit. There were many months of struggle. I think the rent was not being covered by the revenues that the business was making. But I think cracking the distribution was where things changed, right? Figuring out Zomato as a distribution engine, reviews on Zomato, using influencers to spread the word, and then bringing in more footfall, also using delivery in an interesting way. This is 2015. So this is a world which is very different from the world we are in today, where everyone can discover restaurants on Zomato very easily. But this is an early adopter of the Zomato distribution model, which for me was very interesting.
Then we started, seeking out franchisees. So the first few franchisees were people who I knew personally, who were customers, in fact, of Apsara when I was, sitting at a couple of stores. They liked the product. They were looking at something to do as a side hustle or, along with their main job. Because ice cream is primarily an evening business, 6 p.m. ke baad hi zyada sale hai. So I have a day job and then I want to do something, earn extra. So I think let me start with an Apsara franchise. So that's how the first set of franchisees came in, right? And so I still remember in 2015 when I was discussing this with one person who wanted an Apsara franchise. We were sitting at the Lokhandwala store. He said, I completely believe in the product, but I think Lokhandwala is not a location for me क्योंकि यहाँ पे rent बहुत ज़्यादा है. तो यहाँ पे मैं धंधा नहीं, ब्रांड शायद कंपनी खुद बना सकते क्योंकि आपके मार्जिन ज़्यादा है, आप मेरे को तो इतना मार्जिन दोगे नहीं, right? So what location do you suggest, right? And then I think this is the litmus test. I have to give this person a recommendation which will definitely, for the next 5 years he's going to be, because he's going to be investing 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs to set up the store. He's going to be expecting payback very soon and then start making money. I said, now he's coming to me for a recommendation on the location. I cannot tell him to go to Bandra where another 3 lakhs, So then I actually went along with him to 2-3 suburbs in Bombay, Malad, Kandivali, Borivali. Fairly affluent people, good crowd, but rentals still manageable, right? And we just require around 300 square feet of space for setting up an ice cream parlor. So that was one of the first franchisees which, I went with the franchise, negotiated the deal with the landlord on his behalf, rent में bargaining किया, fit out period में bargaining किया. All of this was just amazing learning experience for me, So we started franchising in 2016 and just to cut a very long 4-5 years short, we opened our 100th store just before the pandemic started in 2020.
Wow.
Right? So from 2016 to 2020 is we opened 100 stores. We were present in 13 cities, pan India. By the time we had 35 stores in Bombay, we had 15 stores in Bangalore, 8 stores in Hyderabad and 7 stores in Pune. And then pandemic, struck. And for the first 2 months, it was like we were headless chickens. We didn't know. Suddenly, the stores are shuttered down. There is absolutely no footfall. Landlords are not willing to reduce the rent. At some of them do, but most of them said, "यार ये हमारा भी तो एक ही source of income है, अभी हमारा भी सब बंद है, so we cannot." That is the moment when you actually, start looking at different business models. I think abhi thoda sa time aa gaya hai that we will have to look at a different business model, and that is when we also started exploring the idea of dark kitchens. क्योंकि पैंडेमिक में बाकी सब बंद हो या चाहे आपका फूड डिलीवरी चलता है.
Correct.
In fact, it boomed.
Yeah.
It grew exponentially, right? So Swiggy, Zomato made hay in the sunshine while everybody was at home. So that this is the channel now for at least the next 6 months, or we don't know when the lockdown is going to end. There's a second wave coming. We can't afford to put too much capex into stores. Again risking shutting it down after a few months. So then we tied up with Rebel Foods. We opened another 30-40, because the thing which I always feel is whatever the situation, growth rukna nahi chahiye. Like you can have a setback or you can have a pause and understand the changing environment, understand the changing dynamics, but then figure out a way how you can bypass this and change the business model and start growing again. So cloud kitchens is then the next business model. We partnered with Rebel Foods, opened 30-40. So the turnover kept on coming. We may not have made bottom line that much, but turnover chal raha hai.
Wow.
We are making money to keep paying salaries to our staff. By that time we had almost 150 people working for Apsara across stores. Now those people are dependent on you, for their income. You have to find ways to keep their household running, right? So that was, I think, a big eye-opening moment from me also, when I had people texting me that we are one of the few brands who actually did not close down a single store during the pandemic.
Wow.
When I could see brands shutting down stores, very few, I think only 2 stores we shut down in the entire pandemic. I think that is something which I am very proud of. That even in the darkest, and especially for the ice cream industry, because at that time there was a lot of myth around whether you should have ice cream.
Correct.
COVID mein gala pakadega,
Correct.
thandi cheeze lena hai, nahi lena hai. There was no clarity, absolutely, right? So this was in the pandemic, in the F&B, this was like probably the worst industry to be in at that point of time. And unfortunately for the ice cream industry, both lockdowns, both waves came right in the middle of summer, right? First lockdown was in March, and the second wave was also in April, right? And typically we make 50% of our business in those 3 to 4 months. So both seasons washed out. Like very, very tough times as an entrepreneur, but I think managed to tide with reasonable, maintaining your head above the water and keeping the brand growing. But I feel that this is not the true potential which I can probably unlock given the time I've spent in the ice cream industry, and which is almost 7 years now, right? That's a fair amount of time for anybody to be in a particular industry and not do something really kick-ass. Like ice cream is fundamentally a product which you have to enjoy your moment with your friends, loved ones. खुशी देता है यार, मज़ा आ रहा है यार, एक और बाइट ले. उसमें गिल्ट नहीं आना चाहिए. आइसक्रीम खा रहे हो आप, मज़े से खा रहे हो, उसमें गिल्ट नहीं आना चाहिए. So while thinking, I came across what are the 2-3 things when you probably have a cup of ice cream जिसमें आपको गिल्ट आएगा. One is of course sugar, and I think post pandemic a lot of people have started adopting healthier choices. We are seeing a lot of brands come up with healthier options for food in general and desserts in particular. So sugar is something which a lot of us now become very conscious कि अभी sugar intake मेरे को कम करना है. Of course आप मीठा खा रहे हो तो उसके साथ में calories भी आने वाली हैं. And of course now we also seen a lot of people are adopting veganism as a lifestyle, right? They don't want that guilt of animal cruelty, or they don't want, they want to contribute to the planet in certain ways. And especially if you are going to switch from an animal-based, lifestyle to a plant-based, then you're looking for options, because ice cream also is something which you have for taste, right? मतलब आपको ice cream खा के मज़ा आना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं लगना चाहिए कि यार क्या है ये, मतलब I'm not enjoying it, like my kids are having it and they are making faces, ये क्या खिला दिया आपने. ऐसा तो that is something which you can definitely not compromise on. So with this thought, I started thinking about a second brand which I wanted to start, along with of course Apsara continuing the way it was. And that is how the whole idea of Go Zero came into being, right?
It's very important to make a distinction here, right? So Kiran spoke about the Apsara journey, and now from the Apsara journey, he's built out his own brand, which is Go Zero, which is a very fledgling brand. But it's very important to understand the difference between these two businesses. Apsara is a ready-to-eat ice cream, which you go into an ice cream store and they will put it in a cone or a cup and give it to you from those big baskets. So it requires a store to fulfill the ice cream. Go Zero is a brand. It's a D2C brand, which he wants to start D2C, but it's a pre-packaged brand. So it will come in bricks, it will come in cups, pre-packed, and you will get it in grocery stores, retail outlets, in restaurants. Of course, you can buy it on Zomato, Swiggy, etc. So he wants to manufacture it and then distribute it without the need of people and stores and retail to do it himself. So that's the evolution of ice cream as he's seeing it.
So with Go Zero, the idea is to create a range of desserts, at least starting with ice creams, because that's something which comes now a bit naturally to me, to have a range of desserts that are completely zero guilt, right? And when you say guilt, it's not only about the functional part, of that guilt. Of course, with zero, you have the zero sugar and you have zero calories. If it's a vegan, it's zero dairy. But it also the emotional aspect of it, right? You want zero guilt, you want zero regret, you want zero cheat days. Like अभी मैंने आज वर्कआउट कर लिया, अभी एक मेरे को कुछ आइसक्रीम खाने का मन है, let me cheat on my diet, let me have a quick bite, and then from tomorrow again I'll go back to my lifestyle, to my regimen. But with Go Zero, the idea is to give a guilt-free product, a healthier option compared to what you have been having. And with this, we've embarked on the journey, and it's been 4 months since we launched. We launched this in July, and the response has been pretty good. We are growing 2x month on month. And as of October, we are now available at 130 plus touch points. Of course, we've started primarily this as a D2C product, where we are going to be selling it online as well as through modern trade. So it's not going to be the parlor setup which we have, I've been doing at Apsara Ice Creams. But of course, I am leveraging Apsara as a distribution point for Go Zero. So we have kept freezers of Go Zero at all Apsara stores, and wherever there is no Apsara store, we are tying up with third-party, providers for dark stores, either through ZFW or brands like ZFW or Swiggy Access, to increase the distribution. The plan is to have at least another 100 more dark stores by the end of 2023. I think that is, in a nutshell, the build-up to Go Zero.
Amazing. Can we try the product now?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that is the proof of the ice cream lies in the eating, right? So
100%.
I think let's try Go Zero, and along with that, I've actually gotten samples of competitor brands as well. Okay. So I think you will be able to actually see the difference. कि healthy तो सभी बोलते हैं, guilt-free सभी बोलते हैं, zero sugar सभी बोलते हैं. So then what is your USP? What makes you different from the other competitors? Just the question which I had been facing, that how is Apsara different from naturals, right? So I think that is something which I want to see the F-Mot when you guys try the ice creams. So we have the range in front of you. It's all zero sugar. There are 3 categories. One is zero sugar and low in calorie. So each serve has less than 100 calories, and a normal or regular ice cream, which is a full fat and full sugar ice cream, has around 200 to 250 calories per scoop. So this is 50% less calorie and absolutely zero sugar. The second range which we have is a zero sugar and high protein, right? So in general, Indian diet, especially if you're a vegetarian, it's low on protein, intake. So this is a very tasty way to incorporate protein into your regular diet. And we also have a vegan range, and I think Shantanu is in luck because we have just that one piece of the vegan OMG chocolate bar in green.
This one?
Yes.
I'm not vegan. So are either of you vegan?
No,
but I eat vegan.
But the whole point is Shantanu, that you will not come to know it's vegan.
Oh, is it? Wow.
Go for it.
we can share. This sassy strawberry is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
And
we
it's the-
we
it's the
don't
mango
want
one.
to make vegan the vegan section feel that यार हमारे लिए कुछ अलग बनाया है. नहीं, हम आपके लिए भी we have made the same ice cream, the indulgent ice cream feeling, like you would have, minus the dairy and minus.
So sorry.
Go on.
Good.
I have the 2 chocolate ones here.
Yeah.
Yours and the competitions.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out the categories that you mentioned. So it's interesting to me that this category, they actually, both you and the competition, are printing the calories on it, which is interesting. Do you think that consumers actually calorie count to that extent? So they would. So for example, yours says 99, competition says 85. Are consumers going to compare like that, saying 85 is better than 99, or not really?
I think the broader point that we are trying to communicate is that it's 50% less calorie.
But consumers,
the
do they know
consumers,
that 99
Yeah, I
is
was
a
gonna
good
say, I
thing
didn't know
or
if it-
500 is a bad thing, etc.? Do they have a...
No, more I think they
So
know. is
they
worse.
know that if it's sugar,
No,
it's
more
high
is
in
worse.
calorie.
But is 99 a lot or very little? Do
So less
consumers-
than 100 is typically what
Typically
a lot of
they do.
people.
Yeah. So people who are
Less than
counting
100.
are counting. They're trying to reach
Then whether it's 75, 80
14,
doesn't matter.
1500 a day,
Got it.
right? You should try this.
How's the
What is this? Coconut?
And also
There's almond milk.
Almond milk. Okay.
how does the high protein part play in here? Because this one says high protein, this one says low
So
sugar.
we have a zero sugar, low calorie
And
range,
this-
and we have a zero sugar, high protein, which is an orange pack.
The taste, by the way, is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
At least I can't
Yeah. Yeah, you should
particularly
take
say
this.
that it's
This is the
low
vegan
sugar
one.
or
You can't tell.
The bar is damn good.
Yeah, it's really
the
good.
bar is damn good.
Oh, yeah.
So I've always
Pretty
struggled with food.
I'll
Like
go
I
with
have,
it after.
I'm
done.
I'm
This is
invested
fine.
in one
I'm
of
done.
these plant-based meat, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it is for vegetarians who want protein, or whether it is for meat eaters who want to go vegetarian,
Yeah.
or it is for vegans, which becomes a very niche, at least for now, niche category. Who want to like.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know. Is it environment? It's cruelty of animals. It is lifestyle. It is protein requirements. It's a
See, I
very
think-
I
difficult
think,
thing
you
to
know,
But it
understand.
seems
I
the
have
way
always-
they taste.
Sorry.
The sort of the global brands are trying to replicate how meat tastes in your mouth, right? So it's that same mouth feel. It's the same sort of for taste and so on. So
So the
it's
meat
very
eaters
much,
want to go vegetarian,
yeah,
basically.
who are thinking planet, right? Like the whole. That is that's the shift. I think here, given as India gets richer, more and more people are going to sort of move towards eating meat. We're trying to jumpstart that curve, right? That's what a lot of these food brands are trying to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
But
to
for
give
us-
people that very, very real option and also meet the protein, as he says, the protein. I don't know how many people are looking though for protein in their ice cream,
yeah,
right? I think it's a little bit of healthy, not healthy. Ice cream is ice cream.
Ice cream is ice
So
cream.
it's a treat.
Agreed. Which is why zero sugar is an underlying theme for all.
Yeah.
And we also have a couple of so we don't have too many flavors in the high protein range, because as you rightly said, people
Yeah.
are not looking for protein, they are looking for the taste.
Correct.
Right? But at the same time, if you can still have a little bit of protein through ice cream, which is a tastier way, I think that is something
Sure.
like we are looking at a use case.
So people do, right? For example, I know people who go to the gym who want to get their 80 grams of protein a day.
Sure.
So they'll use
But I don't think
10
they're
grams
looking from.
You're right. So, but if it adds on, it's good. So
Sure.
I think for
Yeah.
me, Kiran, 3-4 broad. One is I think just amazing to see the insights into consumer that you have, right? When we were talking, you spoke about how you launched the guava ice cream,
Yes.
and then they actually put the masala, like that dropping masala,
Yeah.
that shaker in the store, which led to that guava becoming 20% of their
Wow.
Apsara range, which is amazing. Like one SKU giving that much in like a multi-SKU environment like ice cream is outstanding PMF.
I think this is one of the
Mango is
things
very
which being in this industry has
I
taught
think
me
it's the
is
best.
that
Strawberry mango are very nice.
business insights, or getting, it's not always about some state of the art innovation.
Yeah.
It's those simple things which you can implement by
Yeah.
just being in touch with your consumers, right?
Yes.
So I'll just elaborate on this. This is one of my personal favorite stories from Apsara. Is that so in 2015 I was sitting at this store in Powai, and we've been making fruit ice creams, right? So we have
Yeah.
sitafal ice cream, mango ice cream, and by the way also a guava ice cream. So till that time, guava was like probably not even the top 10 flavors at Apsara ice creams. We used to give it regular, and so I happened to catch this 3-4 friends sitting at the store, and अरे ये खा के ऐसा याद आ रहा है जब बचपन में हम लोग वो अमरूद ठेले पे काट के नमक मिर्च मसाला लगा के खाते थे, ऐसा होता तो मज़ा आता था. So next day I just put a bottle of salt and chili masala at the counter, the ice cream counter, and people started wondering what is this bottle of masala doing in an ice cream parlor. And the moment you give them a taster with just little bit of masala on it, it just
It
elevates
popped.
that experience of having the guava ice cream to the next level, right?
Very nice.
And from that moment onwards, I think now guava has actually become the #1 selling flavor at Apsara ice creams. That one flavor contributes to 20% of our sales, right? And so much so that now we have had competitors, coming up with their version of spicy guava and adding. In fact,
Where's the spicy guava here?
There is. So we have a popsicle
okay.
which is a spicy guava.
Okay,
I think
okay,
you would,
understood.
if you have appetite, just try this
In a bit, for sure.
popsicle.
But it's amazing how you've used your experience building out. So first of all, congratulations on an amazing journey to go from one store to 125 stores. Kind of going through COVID in a seasonal category like ice cream. It's unbelievable. Like I don't know. I keep telling my team also. Thank God foams don't have like a expiry of 3 months, 6 months. We can make in bulk and kind of keep them in the stores, and over a period of time we have enough runway for store velocity to pick up. But to see you do that is amazing. To understand Go Zero, it's been 4 months. I think the consumer proposition is spot on. We were talking to Neeraj at Paperboat also. It's very clear even in his mind that sugarless is where beverages is clearly going, right?
Yeah.
Even consumers, urban, very calorie conscious. In the 30 plus age group, people who start becoming weight conscious, becoming calorie conscious. I think the positioning is spot on, large market, growing use case. So very cool. I also feel like, for example, the form factor and shelf throw of the product is damn good. Like, when the shelf was being set up for this also, to see Go Zero, but for example, competition has done a very cool thing by putting calories, which I think is also very smart. Yeah. But to put Go Zero and to see it, I can imagine if this was a fridge, you can see Go Zero as the brand, which is amazing. We kind of got that wrong for a long time.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask you about what is this is a very tactical question, but structurally, do you source from Apsara?
No, so we have a third-party contract manufacturer.
Okay, so with Apsara, there is no, other than sampling in the stores, is there any commercial or ownership?
So that is where the process difference between an Apsara ice cream and a Go Zero ice cream comes. So Apsara is what you would call in ice cream parlance an artisanal product, an artisanal ice cream, which is a kind of replicating the age-old methods when ice cream were made in those wooden sanchas with a salt and ice mixture around it, hand cranked with very less overrun, right? So the technology or the equipment used for making an Apsara ice cream is a vertical batch freezer, right, which can make small batches, multiple batches in a smaller capacity, smaller production with very less overrun, right? And you can only have a shelf life of, let's say, around a month or 2 months. So with Go Zero, the product is slightly different. The whole premise is around the formulation of the product, which is low in calorie, low in sugar. So the equipment required to make Go Zero is different from what we require to make an Apsara ice cream.
Got it. So it's third-party manufacturer.
It's a third-party manufacturer.
Okay, understood.
How much do you sell this for?
So for the zero sugar range, the price varies from 105 to 120.
Okay, and competition?
For a 125 ml. Similar.
Similar.
How does this stack up in terms of just, if you, I'm assuming Zomato, Swiggy would be like the bulk and modern trade. So I'm assuming there will be margin there.
Just started modern trade a month back, but bulk of the sale happening online on Swiggy and Zomato. The split is currently 70-30. 30% sale is happening at the Apsara store as well, because we have a freezer. So of course people will inquire ki ye kya hai, let me try.
Take it home.
So 30% sale is happening, 70% sale is happening online on Swiggy, Zomato, and plus our own e-commerce.
Got it. How does it stack up? Like 120 rupee product, how does it stack up till EBITDA from gross margin, contribution margin and so on?
On an average, the gross margin is around 77 to 80%.
Wow.
This is X the contract manufacturer's plant, and I think 77% would be a fair assumption.
Yeah.
And I think by the time we reach Zomato commissions, Swiggy commissions, of course the initial discount to get trials and everything, we net out somewhere around 20% after everything.
At a unit level?
At a unit level.
Understood. And then overheads are kind of below that?
Yes.
Understood. So material margin effectively is 20%?
Correct.
Understood. Is that what it is like in the food space? I don't know how.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's how it is.
Pretty much
that's how it is for this kind of brand, it would be. Very similar kind of numbers.
Understood. And if you, once you scale, you kind of then obviously start absorbing more and more?
Absolutely.
Understood. How big is zero sugar, zero calorie or health ice creams? We know that chocolates has moved towards bars. I think cookies, of course, is moving towards health. But is ice creams also moving? Are there big companies making those moves?
Yes. As a matter of fact, natural ice creams till now surprisingly did not have a zero sugar range. Given that Apsara has been having a zero sugar range for 5 years, they've just launched zero sugar. So brands are taking cognizance of the fact that now growing number of consumers are looking at options, where they want to cut down on sugar, specifically sugar, right? They don't have a range of healthy or guilt-free ice cream, but they are definitely starting with a few of their best-selling flavors and introducing them in a zero sugar variant, right? I think in terms of the size, I think at least 20 to 25% of the overall ice cream offtake now is looking at in some form either a zero sugar or a vegan or even a keto. And this is something which I have seen even at Apsara over the past 5 years, that the shift from a regular ice cream to a sugar-free ice cream. So our sugar-free range is also now contributing to 30% of our total turnover.
At Apsara?
At Apsara.
Wow.
I'm sorry, maybe this is too specific, but are Indian desserts on your thing as well?
Yes,
because
yes,
again,
I
I
think,
imagine,
very
because I'll tell you, I
He's
haven't
dreaming
seen,
of a
well, A, I haven't had breakfast
sugar-free.
other than ice cream, but B, I'm imagining, see, look, in the market as a consumer now, I speak, of course, not with any expertise, is that I am aware of sugar-free brands of ice creams and so on. What I'm not aware of, I certainly haven't heard of a sugar-free rasgulla or a sugar-free gulab jamun or a jalebi. And I know a ton of people, starting with me, who would love to at least have the option. I haven't seen them, so I'm wondering if that's...
No, absolutely. In fact, even before going to Indian mithais, I think in India, we have our own version of ice cream, which is the kulfi.
Kulfi bhi hai,
Right?
correct.
And which is a very big category. So as we speak, we are in the process of coming up with a malai kulfi flavor.
Oh, very nice.
Nice.
In zero sugar and low calories. So I
Yeah.
think that is something, and we have the data on it. It's one of the most preferred flavors when it comes to kulfi. So that is something. So I think there's a lot of room for here to take this ahead from here on. We have a good starting, we have a good base. We have identified the categories in which we want to be, and whether it is ice creams or kulfis or mithais, I think zero sugar, low calorie is going to stay. The protein part of it is going to stay. If we come up with vegan kulfis or vegan shakes, that is going to stay. So broadly, we have the brand architecture in place, and from here on, it's going to be a strategic choice on which category is next.
My strong fundamental belief on startups, the more I kind of see them and experience it, I'm a believer that DNA is a very important element of strategic choices.
Yeah,
So
of
like
course.
a company that has been born out of a family
You
that
begin
runs
what
ice
you're
cream will
strong on,
remain,
Yeah.
but it's amazing how many legs of growth there will be, in my view.
No, but actually, it's exactly for that reason that I was wondering that is ice cream a stronger leg to grow on versus the healthy one? But I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense.
So I'm going to ask you a question actually that maybe your father would have asked you. It's like just when you thought you got rid of them.
You started like beta.
Not really, but I saw in your deck you're in 7 cities. Your dad was like, Valkeshwar, this location, that location, only so stressful. Why did you choose to go to so many cities and not sort of go deep on, Bombay, for example, which is, I think you're based there, right? And for that 25 crore ARR, 2-ish crores a month, you can get there very quickly, no? Like, to prove the model to yourself more than anybody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think if you can see this slide right now on your screens, right? So we launched in July, which is again ideally not the right time to launch because like Bombay is like completely flooded, waterlogged. So July and August were kind of very sober in terms of the sales, but we used this time to iron out any teething issues which we would have in terms of the logistics or the operations.
Yeah.
Also, this is the first time we are using a contract manufacturer, so we wanted to give him breathing space in terms of what volumes can we expect. And typically post August is when you start seeing the uptake in sales in ice cream once all the festivals start coming in. So we have seen 10x growth in sales in the past 4 months, and this is growing pretty aggressively. So we are working very closely with Swiggy and Zomato to set very aggressive numbers and targets for the months leading up to summer, where we feel that the next 3 months of summer from April, May and June are going to be super, where we do almost 60% of what our target to
What
end.
is your guidance for April, May, June? So what is your guidance for example, November, which is where we are, and then AMJ, like how much would you want to do? at that
So,
time for that quarter?
so November, December, Jan, Feb, like these 4 months, in fact, not really November, December, but I think December second half se leke Jan, Feb is when, you know, you will have a slight dip in ice cream sales because of the weather and, you know, especially, so I think there we are looking conservatively at 20-25% month-on-month growth.
But what's the number?
So number is somewhere, so we want to end March at 1+ CR monthly.
For the year or for the month?
No, for the month.
For the month.
Okay.
For the month.
Got it.
And when you say 50 lakhs for the month, that is net sales, right? That's what?
Gross sales.
What is net?
Net is, we are at 40%
Gross
average
net.
discount,
Okay.
so it would be 30 lakhs.
30 lakhs. And do you cut out, does Zomato, Swiggy margins come on top? Like,
So it's baked after that.
But from an invoicing standpoint?
So so the Zomato and Swiggy commissions are net of discounts and net of GST.
But they come as a marketing cost, they come niche.
They come at
Okay. So basically it's a 30 lakhs broadly.
Correct.
net
sales.
of discount, net of
And you want to get to 1.3, 1.4 crores per month for the summer.
for the summer. End summer at 2 CR
In gross or net?
in gross.
In gross. So 1.3 crores in net for end of summer. Understood. Important to understand what guidance is or how the entrepreneur wants to grow. So he's doing 50 lakhs in gross sales, which is 30 lakhs in net sales, because he's discounting at 40%. And he's expecting a dip in December, January, February, obviously because of winter. But by March, he wants to go to 1 crore in gross sale, which is roughly 70 lakhs in net sale. And in April, May, June, which is the 3 months when he'll do the maximum sale, he wants to double from March to then, which is almost 2 crores in gross sale and 1.4 crore in net sale. So as an equity seeker and in general as a founder, understanding how much you want to grow, what the external environment is, and what metrics, which is gross sale, net sale, how much discount, etc., is very important to do.
Kiran, for growth at this stage, what is the bottleneck for you? Is it your brand awareness? Is it the number of distribution points you have? Is it the dark, what do you call them, the dark stores you're setting up?
So
What
I think
is your
the
primary bottleneck?
biggest bottleneck is the brand awareness. So the growth which we have had so far is with a very limited marketing spend. Right? We have probably spent only 10% or less than 10%. It's mainly word of mouth. It's mainly a little bit of influencer marketing. You know, the micro influencers who have their followers, referrals. So we've not gone full steam on, let's say, a Facebook, Instagram ads. We've not gone full steam on ads on Swiggy, Zomato as well. I think which is also a significant way to drive numbers on their platforms. I think that is something which we are looking at, to really grow sales exponentially. That's number one. Number two, in terms of distribution points. So the plan is we started with Bombay and Pune because we already have a network of around 40 Apsara stores
Correct.
in Mumbai and Pune. So
Correct.
that's like a very easy plug and play, for me. And in fact, the next big city is Bangalore, where we also have 20 Apsara stores, right?
Would an Apsara franchisee owner be okay sampling out Go Zero because it's competition end of the day, no or no?
So as
get
of
a
now, we are
commission,
not
yeah.
having sampling at the store. These are all pre-packed.
But sold.
Selling.
Sold.
Sorry?
It's competition. Yes, it is competition.
Cannibalization hota
But
hoga
they'll
kuch
get a
to.
commission.
They'll get a margin. So the commercials is whether you sell an Apsara or whether you sell a Go Zero, the margin
Is the
would
same.
largely be the same offline.
Very
Online पे
smart,
फर्क नहीं
no?
पड़ता है.
Yeah, which is so smart to be
Yeah.
able to get sampling done, which is so expensive in general.
But you give
But
the
to
same
have
margin to
captive
them.
sampling. You have captive sampling. For food, it's moment of truth, no?
I was going to say, right now, I mean, this makes sense to not spend too much money on marketing till you fully understand the consumer and so on, right? So, do you have a sense of repeats, what's working so far and so on?
Yeah, I think very interesting numbers on repeats. Of course, Swiggy, Zomato doesn't share a lot of data, but at least on Zomato, we can come to know that what is, how many orders that particular customer has had from Go Zero.
Very nice.
So
Yeah.
we've had a bunch of customers who have now ordered between 17 to 20 times from Go Zero in the past 4 months.
Wow.
And we also have, I think, at least 20% to 25% repeat customers. And because the trials is, growing at a faster pace, of course, this percentage will build eventually once, the trials or the inorganic way of getting new customers kind of reaches maturity by the time we hit summers. But I think the numbers are very encouraging, and we've had people reviewing us. In fact, people are putting stories on Instagram saying that Go Zero is better than the next 3 healthy ice cream brands A, B, C. And they are actually tagging those companies as well. So I'm sure their founders would be keeping an eye on Go Zero now. But I think in terms of repeat, yes, we are having some strong traction there.
For a D2C or for any online brand, repeat is a very important question to ask. It's a very important metric for a founder to track. The reason for that is the most expensive thing to do when you're building an online business, especially today, is customer acquisition. Once you've acquired the customer and the customer likes your product, the customer will keep repeating. You don't have to spend additional money to acquire the next transaction. Higher the repeat rate, the more effective and efficient is your marketing spend. So repeat rates are an extremely important measure as long as your business is online. Once it goes offline, of course, repeat rates remain important, but for online businesses, they are gospel. One thing on Blinkit, Zepto, Instamart, like strong advice. I've seen the epigamia numbers, for example. It's almost now 25-30% of their business comes from these places. Yeah. This is where food will get. I'm sure Slurrp Farm is seeing similar numbers. Yeah. People buy it. These are funded businesses where the technology and algorithms have not advanced enough to it's very easy for Go Zero to be the number one ice cream and Walls and some of these big ones to be number 2, number 3.
We're already number 10 in Bombay on Zomato and Swiggy.
But Zomato and Swiggy are harder to crack because they're more established.
Exactly.
But these ones,
grocery
start very quick. Because वहाँ पे लोग they're hungry.
No, and I think especially in this category, right, 100%. Which is impulse.
Epigamia Greek yogurt, I get similar form factor. See, for someone like me, an epigamia Greek yogurt and something like this is I can choose one or the other if they're both kept in the fridge. Okay. For me, it's an indulgent snack. It's something for sweet. I like having something sweet after a meal. Giving me something zero sugar, actually, it's totally worthwhile.
I think that word is very, very interesting, indulgent. Right? At the end of the day, these products, I mean, you may, beat the horn around healthy and guilt free and zero sugar, but जब तक वो indulgence वाला feeling नहीं आता ना, and everybody has this preconception that taste and health are inversely correlated. If something is tasty, healthy नहीं होगा, और अगर healthy दे रहे हो तो tasty नहीं होगा. I think that is something which once we crack with Go Zero and make this mainstream indulgent ice creams with the benefit of zero sugar and calories and everything else, I think that is going to be
But it's a very smart thing to do to build a desserts brand, because I remember Quality Walls was so restricted because it was a dessert business. They started making ice cream a snack, 4 p.m. after school, all of that, right? But your kind of side is dessert. I remember I'm someone who after a meal wants something sweet. कुछ भी हो. I am Lucknow में वो चाय के बाद में वो sugar रहता था ना, I would pick up that. There was no just to kind of get sweet in my mouth. So I can totally imagine this being like a sweet thing. But yeah, sorry, Meghna, you're asking.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, amazing what you built, and would love to sort of hear what are you looking for?
What I'm looking for, I'm looking for, of course, capital, because that is by default something which is required to hit these numbers. But more than that, I am looking for that capital to come from a pool of people who are really in sync with your vision, who understand what it takes to build a D2C, and who are not going to be chasing my ass quarter after quarter. Number किधर है, growth किधर है, क्योंकि numbers तो आ जाएंगे. I think that is the confidence which I have with my experience at Apsara, because that in this category, at least in ice creams to begin with, numbers तो आ जाएंगे. कितने बड़े numbers तक हम लेके जा सकते हैं, कितना size of price, how much can we capture from the incumbents in the market, and in what time.
How big do you want to make this, like Go Zero? How can this be bigger than Quality Walls? Can this be bigger than Natural? Like, where do you see this kind of being steady state? Like, if you were to talk to Kiran Shah at your father's age today, for example, having built it for 3, 4, 5 decades.
I think Meghna was just talking about what your father would say. I think the very first question which would, even before the Quality Walls or this thing, the family would have in their mind, or at least at what stage is this going to overtake Apsara?
Yeah. Correct. How big is Apsara right now?
Yeah.
How big is Apsara right now?
So Apsara is at 50 crore turnover.
So in a year and a half, like 6 quarters?
Like definitely 2 years.
2 years. Okay. But like beyond that, beyond Apsara?
I think I'll not go too far ahead at this stage, but I think the 5-year plan would be to at least have 100 crore turnover business.
Okay. Profitable. Understood.
At Apsara, we have been profitable every quarter apart from that first quarter where I was just,
It's like when the new kid came in, that's the only quarter they lost money.
after that it has been.
You are seeing growth happen. Like, so if I were to paint a picture of Go Zero in 2026, 27, for example, it would be 100 crore business, still Zomato, Swiggy, or would there be your own store, kind of?
So not the 125 stores which we've had at Apsara. It will probably be a smarter play in terms of, because I think what I've now realized is that real estate and footfall is thoda sa overrated. I think only a brand like Naturals or a couple of brands have been able to gather that much amount of footfall, but eventually it's really a lot of OPEX which is burning in forms of rent. I think for Go Zero it would be more of having a couple of stores or an experience zone, a guilt-free indulgence zone, in very, very niche locations like probably a Powai in Mumbai, it could be an Indiranagar or Kormangla in Bangalore, it could be Jubilee Hills in Hyderabad, it could be a Koregaon Park or a Viman Nagar in Pune, but not littered with every store, at every 3-4 kilometers. Mainly it would be online.
Understood.
Okay.
Any questions? We should quickly do a sidebar.
No, I'm ready for the sidebar.
Sidebar. Kiran, can you just excuse us for 5 minutes?
Sure.
We'll quickly figure. We'll align at least internally.
One thing that struck me straight away is I have Kelewala, who comes downstairs, is also a startup founder.
Yeah.
As are both
More
of you.
More profitable than.
Yeah, more profitable perhaps. As are both of you, as is, let's say, Ritesh. And what I've tried to figure out what is the difference. When we say startup in the modern world, why do we only think of the Zomatos and the Ubers and Bombay Shaving Company and Slurrp Farm and so on? And I think it's an interesting one. And we used to talk about performance and health of companies, right? Where health is something you build which signals future performance, and performance is a lag effect. And often high performing companies can be unhealthy and can be on the verge of falling down. And highly healthy companies can seem to have poor performance. And I've always felt that the traditional smaller startups who grow gradually and are less concerned about performance tend to be healthier. The ones who are successful anyway tend to be healthier and performance happens over time. And the ones who are very, very focused on performance for early periods of time can become unhealthy without realizing it. The reason I bring it up is what I think I see in Go Zero and when Kiran talks is he is a beautiful hybrid.
Correct.
Because I think his original, everything he spoke about, his DNA and his experience in Apsara and coming from that family, right, is very, very health focused. Correct. He has understood how to manufacture the thing. He has set up stores from scratch. Even with Go Zero, the way he has grown, the way he's thinking about what is the biggest bottleneck, he's, you spoke about 1 city versus 7, but frankly, I can imagine other founders going to 25 cities by now, right? So that's a big strength, and personally, I'm inclined to say we should go in. I am wary though, that when he speaks about 100 CR in 5 years, I'm a little bit, more than a little bit disappointed. But I think that's the good thing, because it's a healthy company. I think performance will come. वो हो जाएगा. तगड़ा खिलाड़ी है, भागेगा. But I think वो थोड़ा सा. But anyway, that's my nutshell. I think we should figure out the sum and so on. But I certainly think this is heavily investable.
I mean, full agreement. I was actually a little jealous when I was listening to it. I was like, I started from zero, right? Like, how do you make this? It took us, I would say, a whole 2 years just figuring that out.
I remember when your factory had that whole rerun
and just insane amounts of stupidity and learning, right? And unlearning, relearning, teaching also, because we were shifting boundary conditions for manufacturers. They didn't know how to make products without all of the glunk that is in food today. So I was just thinking, wow, that's so amazing, right? His starting point was so amazingly different, and so he's going to be surprised by how fast he grows.
I actually agree with you.
I think he's going to hit 100 CR in 2023 run rate.
If he's able to deploy capital well. See, for me, I love that people have a very different starting point on the product itself.
Correct.
So understanding of the shelf flow, the form factor, what taste should be like is golden. You don't have to. and
Yeah,
this
it is a
crucial.
manufacturing mountain that he had already climbed. He
Like
didn't know.
that. Yeah.
So I think the ambition
Correct.
can be recalibrated. And I also agree with you on, as Gautam Mago puts it, goodness and bigness of business. There are good businesses which may not be big yet, and there are big businesses which may not be good yet. You might as well be in the former because the
Bigness
potential
will
to
come,
grow-
yeah.
Bigness will come.
Yeah.
If you have
And
the right
I
thing in
think
place.
the fact that he's in a position where the bottleneck is awareness
Yeah.
is just fantastic.
Agree.
Yeah.
And it's a growing market. I have a feeling that
Nahi
like,
chalega.
you caught
Yeah.
this very early, but
Yeah.
personally as a consumer, I'm seeing even like the whole Coke to Diet Coke.
Yeah, yeah.
They killed it with Diet Coke
Yeah.
and Coke Zero and has now become a big part of their business. So
Yeah.
I think the market is established. So large market, I think good founder. Where do you think value would be in this business? Like how do you? It's a seasonal business, so there's no net run rate valuation. How do we do that in a way that is fair?
In order to get to this, he has a goal of 25 crore ARR. That's 2-ish crores a month.
Yeah.
What does he believe he needs in terms of capital to get there? Let's get him to that.
Yeah.
25
What's
to
the
100.
multiple in the industry? Will it be 4 to 5? Early stage maybe 5 to 6.
No, higher. 6.
6 is
plus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if he's doing 30 lakhs
And
a
for that
month
quality
today,
of founder, definitely more. Yeah.
so if I were him today,
Yeah.
running a 30 lakhs per month business, looking at 1 crore, 1.2 crores, that's a 4 to 15 crore ARR business. So 10 crores.
Yeah.
If I were to like kind of be generous on the forward looking, 10 times 6, 60 crore.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe between 40 to 60 crore valuation would be given it's a 4-month-old business. So,
Yeah.
And plus given that we will probably have value beyond capital, we could ask, unless someone's anchoring the round. So let's ask him actually.
Yeah.
We
Cool.
should ask
So we should, my view is we could put in between 50 lakhs to a crore.
Yeah.
Maybe let's see what his valuation expectation is, but my sense is between 40 to 50 crores pre. Or if someone like a DSG or someone kind of anchors this round, I think he's talking to them,
Understood.
then that valuation lower of the two. So some of these things will happen in parallel. I
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah.
what do you think?
Let's,
Possibly, right? There's no reason why he's not talking to anybody else.
Yeah.
No, I think
Yeah.
on valuation, I would just suggest that let's hear him first,
Yeah.
rather than us putting a number, because he must have thought about a valuation,
Yeah. Sure.
whatever it may be.
Sure. At this point, we leaned on Meghna and her Slurrp Farm experience in terms of valuation of the business. Typically, in early stage, growth stage companies, you typically will take the net run rate of the company for the year, which is the revenue that they will clock for the whole year, and then multiply it by a multiple. Typically, in for example, in personal care, the multiple is between 4 to 7. If it's a very high growth business, it could be 8 or 9. If it is a very high growth, very profitable business, it could be 10 or 11. But typically, you land in the 4 to 7 number. In food, Meghna is saying it is around 6, and he's currently doing 30 lakhs of net sales per month, which is roughly a 3.5 to 4 crore per year business. But it's winter time, so we said between 4 to 15 crores, and the multiple of 6. So the ballpark valuation that we kind of landed on was between 40 to 50 crores at this point. Kiran was outside the room, so we all agreed that let him come in and put his valuation expectation down because he's the founder. And we trust that when a founder puts a value of X on the table, he will use the capital at X and take the valuation from X to 2X, 3X, 4X and so on. And we will kind of see the appreciation in capital. So that's where we landed in the discussion. Kiran, I think fabulous to hear your story. Of course, personally, for me was very close to my heart, given I know you for 13 years. But to see you take a family business to 130 outlets and then find a consumer insight, build it out, and I think we were discussing, I think you underestimate the starting point you have, just given how well you know the category, the customer, and the product. Because that's something, for example, Meghna and I have struggled for years to build out in our own categories.
Correct.
You have a starting point which is very, very different and is a massive differentiator from people who are probably building this out of passion and will learn along the way. So you could be a category creator. So we are keen to participate. Yeah. Long story short, we are keen to participate. For us, being a part of your journey, for all 50 of us, will be a privilege. You have all 50 names, so you can go through them. But 3 of us kind of speak on their behalf for today. But we want to come in. We would love for you to tell us how.
I was kind of hoping it will be the other way around.
If you have a valuation number, I can like Meghna and I have been in
Exactly,
raising
yes.
situations multiple
I mean-
times. So if you have a number in mind in terms of both capital and value, you want to kind of what you are valuing this business at, you should
So
kind
I
of.
think in
anchor
terms
it.
of the amount per se which are required, I think I'm looking at somewhere in the range of 5 crores.
Okay.
Right, and this I think should
Makes
help
sense.
us get to, I think, more than 25, right? So to give you a sense, I have already put in 1.7 till now, right, from my own. And with that, of course, a large part of it goes toward the initial R&D and,
Yeah.
so it's not really now, which is like a one-time kind of a cost. So I think to get this 25, I think somewhere around the range of 5. Now, see, valuation at this stage is going to be very, very like, it's subjective, right?
Correct.
It's like we don't really have a track record of the business over several years. So it's going to be purely by the conviction that I have in building this, and probably backed by your confidence in me as well. And given that this would be the first dilution for me, I wouldn't want it to be anywhere between more than, let's say, an 8% or 10%.
Okay. So are you valuing the business with
Pre-money.
with that view that you want to raise 10% at 5 crores?
Yes,
So
pre-money.
huh?
Pre-money.
Pre-money. So basically 45 crores pre-money here is what you are saying.
50 crores pre-money.
So, okay, 50 crores pre-money is where you are valuing the business. Okay, understood. From our standpoint, we will not be able to underwrite the entire amount that you have in mind. Okay. We will probably be able to do kind of lead and anchor the valuation so that you can kind of get it from more people.
So actually, frankly speaking, 5 crore ticket size at this point of time is गुज्जू कच्ची कम्युनिटी में से तो
उठ जाएगा.
ऐसे ही रेज हो जाता है, राइट?
Correct.
I am not looking to raise capital for the sake of it. Like, I want people to come on board who will bring more to the table,
of
apart
course.
from the capital,
Yeah.
For sure.
right?
No, for
I'm
sure.
looking
Yeah.
at,
No,
but,
I completely agree with you. I think Mandar has played that role for me, and a lot of people on this list have
I'm
played
sure.
that role for me. I don't know if some of them are
Yeah,
angels
of
with
course.
Slurrp Farm, but I'm sure they would be.
Absolutely.
I remember Mandar was our first board meeting, angel representative, back in 2016, where he told us then also that you guys are doing too much and too expensive. Focus on scale and making sure that Bombay Chewing Company should be known for something. That stuck with us, and for the next 2 years we kind of focus.
Absolutely.
Has been an
Absolutely.
So look, we can have an in-principle handshake right now, and as your round progresses, what we can do is decide the guardrails. Meghna, Mandar, you should kind of make sure that just make sure that we are doing this right. I would suggest that let us, if you could allow us the privilege, we would love to come in with a 75 lakhs to 1 crore check, or 50 lakhs to 1 crore check. You decide the number. Because I know founders will have to, you will have 5 investors, किसी को ज़्यादा चाहिए, किसी. So we are flexible. We can put in 50, we can put in 1 also. Okay. If you have someone putting in a larger amount than us, if you can take our capital at the same valuation, perfect. Give us pari passu rights.
I think I would love for you guys to be on board as well.
Wonderful. So scenario A, if comes in or any institutional check comes in, they anchor the value. You tell us between 50 to 1 what we can do. We will do it.
Absolutely.
If no one comes in, now that's also a scenario we have to be
That's a
prepared
scenario as
for.
well, yes.
If no one comes in, we have to decide the price, right? If no one comes in, is there a way you can go below 50 given your current ARR? Because you obviously won't dilute 8% for a 1 crore check, because that's really bad for you. But if we are the only participating in this thing, then we would like an upside in the next round to give 1 as a bridge. So if you can come down from 50 to 40 in the scenario that no one else comes in, then we are happy to kind of commit 1 crore for that.
So I mean, in the scenario nobody comes in, right? I do have my reserves which I'm going to use to ensure that the growth doesn't stop, right?
Okay.
I think that is something which I have already accounted for. And as I mentioned before, the capital is not really something which I'm looking for the capital sake.
Correct.
But the only concern which I have at this point is from a dilution point of view, because in future for other rounds as well as, so I am currently a solo founder, right? And I feel it is at this point of time I can pull this to this level by 2023. There could be a situation in future where I might have to look for a co-founder. I might have to keep a certain amount for ESOPs So I want that flexibility right now.
No, for sure. I think an ESOP pool for now is critical. I think
Yes.
when we draft the agreement for this, I think
Yes.
it will be massive leverage just to get in the right people like your sales and so on.
Absolutely.
Mani, my question is, I agree with you. Like even our check size is small, so dilution is inconsequential either way, whether it's 50 or 40 because the amount is smaller.
तो तुझे बोलना चाहिए तो 50 क्यों 75 पे ले लेते तो मेरे को नीचे ला.
No, but that's the thing. The thing is, there should be upside for the future because then in that situation your runway is smaller. So then that should be baked in. That's the only broad question I have. Otherwise, I'm
I
completely.
think my ask is have trust in the product, but more than that, have trust in me that I will definitely pull this off and I will over deliver what I have put here in this PPT.
Okay. What do you guys say?
Yeah.
I think his point on dilution and ESOPs at this early stage is a solid one.
Yeah.
I'm aware that I'm right now negotiating against the 50 of us. And the remaining 47 will probably kill me for
No,
it.
but
I think
the
this
bigger prize is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Lots of
I think
ice
we should
cream.
go
Cool. So
For
Lots of
everybody.
ice cream.
So the deal is clear, right? In the sense, if someone comes in, we anchor at that value, rights are pari passu, you choose our quantum. If people don't come in, and let's put a date, maybe by 30th January, take 2-3 months. And if someone doesn't come in, we'll come
What is
in.
the ticket size in case someone doesn't come in?
One. We'll put in one.
One.
Yeah. Amazing. So can we actually physically shake hands?
We should, no?
Yeah. Amazing.
Aja.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Kiran.
Thank you.
So wonderful to meet
So
you.
wonderful.
Congrats.
Thank
Very
you.
nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you. All
And
the very
delicious
best.
ice cream.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think
Absolutely.
we'll make it even better from here on.
Yes,
We actually
absolutely.
have something for you from our side, actually for all of you.
Oh yeah, look at that.
So this is a Bombay Shaving Company hamper
Nice.
for you. So we should get this on. I think the Go Zero is an outstanding business. I think every beverage, food company and brand in India is thinking about healthy. Consumers obviously are thinking about going healthy, so no sugar. I think the Coke journey from Coke to Diet Coke and Coke Zero is obviously an example over the last 15-20 years in terms of consumption override. So I think that was one, that the category was very attractive. Second is Kiran is a proven entrepreneur. He took Apsara Ice Cream as a single store business and scaled it to 125 stores. So not only does he understand scaling businesses, he also understands consumer of ice cream, how flavors work, how taste works. That's very important in a consumer brand. To be that deep in consumer understanding, product understanding is very, very valuable. I think the third thing is that he is a very sharp marketer. I think his marketing chops have been sharpened at Procter & Gamble, working to build out the franchisee business at Apsara. And even if you see Go Zero, the quality of the cups, the packaging, the feeling of the communication, the logo, the throw, he's really thought about how that brand will look in a freezer in a store. Has worked with Zomato, Swiggy, so even if you see his listings, they're very high quality. So I think for us the thesis was that seeking equity in Go Zero makes sense because I think large market, obviously a very credible entrepreneur, clearly wants to bootstrap his way there. So will be frugal with capital. Comes from a family of business people who have built out successful businesses. So will understand things better than someone who's kind of coming in raw. We do feel that the valuation was slightly steep, given it's a seasonal business and kind of slightly early stage, but that's okay. I think we look at a potential value upside rather than current stake in the company. So we have offered, we have let Kiran know that our appetite is for 50 lakhs to a crore. If there's an institutional investor who comes in, we'll kind of piggyback on their valuation and let them kind of discover the value if they're leading the round and participate. And if he's not able to raise capital or if he's not able to reach a deal, then we will kind of lead it with a 1 crore check at the valuation that he asked for. So for us, we are very happy to seek equity in Go Zero and thrilled about how the healthy ice cream and healthy dessert space kind of pans out over the next 5-10 years.